My story this morning involves another investment gone bad, and what can happen when your attorneys screw things up for you too. We have it's out of Law 360, and it's about an investor who claims he got duped, and there's an opinion out of the court that's unpublished, so you can't use it as authority. The cases it cites in our authority, and this is a guy named Stephen Baggett who invested some money. I guess the figure they're talking about was $650K dropped into an investment. He was supposed to get some percentage of the business, and it turns out, if I understand it, that they were going to offer securities in this company that were unlawful under Washington law. Okay, so as always, the investment didn't go as these people wanted. This guy wanted it to go, so he ultimately sued the company and all the people that were involved in it. And the suit involved, he dropped $650K in. He was supposed to get X amount out of it. He didn't get it. It was a bad investment. They breached the contract. He threw the kitchen sink in there. Okay, but unfortunately for him, an email was sent, I think by one of his attorneys, that pointed out that this is a fraudulent security scheme, okay, and that you've got some problems with that. Well, they didn't throw the securities law violation into the first case. So what happened is all the attorneys got together after they, made sure they got paid for all this stuff, and they settled the case. Okay? They settled the case for six-figure amount. And when they settled the case included any claim that might be based upon this investment scheme. Okay? And they went to court and had the case dismissed with prejudice, which means you can't come back. You're done. Anything you had to bring about this investment scheme, you just settled it and be on your way. Well, it seemed that this guy, Mr. Baggett, wasn't satisfied with that. So he filed another lawsuit against these same people based upon the same basic scheme, investment scheme. This time he threw in the securities violation under Washington law. Okay. Well, that started another round of what we call pleading wars. But unfortunately for the defendant's attorney, they didn't raise what we call claims preclusion or res judicata. In other words, you already brought this case up, you settled it, you can't come back and do this again. The attorneys didn't raise it. Okay, which, from my perspective, you get an odor here of malpractice. I mean, it's one of those affirmative defenses you raise. Hey, we already did this. We settled the case. You can't come back at us again. Okay, so they move forward with this, what we call discovery, and now they file what we call speaking motions. We bring in evidence, and we want you to dismiss the case based upon the evidence we found. No triable issues of fact. Well, in those motions, the plaintiff's attorney responded to this claims preclusion. Okay, rather than saying no, you waived it, you can't do this. He actually engaged in pleadings and argumented case. So in other words, he revised this. The attorney screwed it up, and the plaintiff's attorney revived it again. So again, this kind of has an odor of, that smells like malpractice to me. I'm not saying it is, but it smells like it. Okay. So the defendants said, hey, we want you to dismiss all this stuff. And the court said, we're going to dismiss everything but this new securities claim. And so it goes up to the appellate court, and the defendants argue, hey, they settled and waived everything, even claims they hadn't brought, which they knew about and could have brought. They settled them, so they're done. And the appellate court said, absolutely. If you bring a lawsuit under what we call a common nucleus of operative facts with the same people, okay, and you go into court and you either lose or you settle, it's done, okay? If you had a claim you could have brought up and should have brought up, it's done too. Okay, so what this represents is a bad investment handled by some attorneys that, arguably committed malpractice here. And then ultimately a court said, well, if you settle a case and it includes everything that could come out of that case, you're done. We don't want to see you back here again. Okay? It gets a little bit geeky, but it's another one of the complications you see when you throw money into these speculative cannabis ventures and it doesn't turn out well. And another thing that happened in between is that this target defendant went to bankruptcy, and they're not talking much about that, how that worked out for him. There was a pause here for bankruptcy, so the plaintiff knew that you ain't getting money out of these folks because they're bankrupt. And now we have an opinion from the court that no one can cite, but it sends a message out there. It said if you're representing these investments and they stink, you better throw everything into that suit and make sure you follow up on it, or you're going to be precluded from coming back and recouping your investment. So I'm going to throw this back at you guys. What do you think about this?
Man. So these guys, they got the judgment. Am I correct on this? They got
dismissal.
They got a dismissal. The dismissal of a judgment. So they should be happy because now they're not financially liable in regards. Am I correct on this, Dale?
Oh, that's right. The door was closed on them coming back and trying to relitigate this. You're done. Get out of here. They were kicked out of court.
Yeah. So
this is like kind of like double jeopardy.
Kind of. Well, this eliminates that.
The theory is res judicata. And if you have something happen, okay, and you know who the parties were, and there's a group of facts that are involved in this, and you go sue somebody for it, you better make sure you bring all the claims you know or reasonably should know of to court, or you may be done. You can't bring them back up later.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You get one shot to make it happen, and it's kind of like those basketball games when you get that half court shot to win the money, and either you make it or you break it.
It's kind of like 8 Mile, run rabbit run. You get one shot,
That's it. Exactly.
Knees weak, arm spaghetti.
Oh boy.
Vomit on your sweater already.
Oh God.
Damn.
Yeah.
Man, you have any thoughts?
Just be careful of the attorneys that you hire.
Right.
Because a lot of people have law licenses, and you might not want them, representing you against the dog catcher. So be careful.
That part is very true. That part is very true. And you have anything on this, Rochelle? No? All right. Fair enough on that. We're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll